Hello there, how you doing? Welcome back to another video on the channel, and today we're going into ranking every single World Cup team in the Qatar World Cup from worst to best. This goes into the teams that I see in their entire squad, the manager, the form that they're in, and my general consensus of how good their team really is and how well do I think they can perform at the World Cup from worst to best. So from 32 to 1. So if you guys do enjoy, smash a like button and let's get straight into it, because I believe when you see this would be the evening of the World Cup. I believe this would be after Qatar plays against Ecuador, and when Qatar will most likely somehow win 1-0. Wink, wink, money, money. So let's get straight into it. Cheapest and most reliable coins on FIFA 23. Then go down below to use them and buy. Top link in description, and make sure to use code Vizeh for 5% off. So in 32nd place, coming in as the worst team at the World Cup, and for me will probably be the worst team of the World Cup in terms of goals scored, in terms of goals conceded, I'm going to go for, sadly, the boys in Saudi Arabia. Coming in at 32nd place, their recent form has been quite mixed. They've got potentially a better team on paper that you would say in comparison to like the Qatar. However, their recent form has been really poor. In the last Arab Cup, the last proper international tournament, Qatar made it third place, beating Egypt on penalties in that game, where Saudi Arabia in that same tournament, they lost to Jordan, they drew to Palestine, and of course lost to Morocco. Saudi Arabia are in weird form. Their games are always quite low scoring, but in their group of Argentina, Mexico and Poland, I think it's going to be really tough for them. I'd be surprised if they score more than one goal, and I think that they'll be having a very torrid time at the back. So for me, Saudi Arabia is coming in as a 32nd worst team. Next up in 31st place, I am still not putting Qatar. I'm going to put the Aussies in 31st place. I'm so sorry, lads, when I look at your team. The main issue I think that we have with Australia is the fact that they don't play many teams away from their region of the world, in the Asian and Oceania regions, and I think that would play a massive factor. I think it's a massive negative. They aren't really used to playing teams in Europe other than at the World Cups, and they've not really got a main man in their team. Their, I guess, best man that they had in qualification was Jackson Irvine, who's a midfielder that plays for St. Pauli in the second tier of the Bundesliga. They also still have Aaron Moy, who plays at Celtic. That victory against Peru on penalties was absolutely incredible for them, and I'm surprised that they did it, because that is a massive, massive success. However, in their group as well, I think Tunisia have got a bit more to them, and then of course there's France and Denmark. I think this could be another team that could come out of the tournament with 0 points. I guess if you want to see how I'm doing this video, I guess this is more in terms of how well do I think they will perform at the World Cup. So in terms of goals scored, in terms of goals conceded, etc. And also most points gained. So I think this is the way to really rank in terms of how well do I think a team will perform in the World Cup. Next up is maybe a surprising one. I'm going to put Cameroon. I think Cameroon will be 30th in terms of the worst performing team at the World Cup. Their form is disastrous in many ways. The way how they qualified against Algeria was incredible, and on paper they've not got a bad squad. However, their recent form is scaring me, and also the fact that they have a pretty tough group as well is not giving me much faith either. Switzerland and Serbia, and of course Brazil. And I think that they could potentially come out with 0 or 1 point in their group. The reason why I say this is that in their last 4 games, they've not won once, and they lost to Uzbekistan 2-0 with quite a strong team. They've lost to South Korea 1-0. They drew to Jamaica 1-1 and drew to Panama 1-1. I think that the group is very strong, very good teams, and I think it could be really tough for them. And now in 29th place, I'm going to put Qatar. The reason why I put Qatar ahead of Cameroon or Australia is the fact that I actually think that they can get at least a point or two. I think that they can get a draw to the likes of Ecuador. I think horse advantage, as we've seen in recent World Cups, can play a huge factor. South Africa, made it out of their group. They were quite a poor nation. Same thing for South Korea in their World Cup back in 2002. They went really far, and realistically they really shouldn't have, for whatever reasons that you may believe. So I think Qatar, with the host nation and with the home advantage, and with the they are already used to the surfaces, they are already used to the temperatures, I think that could play a factor, because most of their players in their team still plays in that part of the world. So I think it is possible that they can get some sort of result here. And in recent games, they've beat the likes of Albania and beat the likes of Panama, so they're beating some European teams who are solid enough. So I think that they can get a point or two. Next up in number 28, and it really does hurt me to do this, but I keep on thinking about it logistically. I'm trying to be smart about it and not have my own, hopes and dreams connected to this club or to this nation too much. And I think it's going to be Canada. I think that their group is very tough. I think it's tougher than what people may seem. I think Morocco is a solid enough team, some great top players, Hakim Ziyech, Hakimi for example. Also in their group, they've got the likes of Croatia, fantastic nation, and of course Belgium. Canada, I think they could score 1 or 2 goals, but defensively, it's not the greatest, I don't think. And end up on 0 or maybe 1, if you're lucky, 2 points. I can't see them winning a game. So for me, Canada, I think I'll put them in 28th. Their form recently hasn't been exactly bad. They beat Japan 2-1, which is a good nation, to be fair. However, I just think their group is really tough. I think I can now go into the C category. So these are teams that I think won't have a great World Cup, but I think they have a chance to win a game. Okay, they have a chance to do something. But I still would put them, quite consistently my team to get knocked out in the group stage. So I'm going to go with Costa Rica. I think that their team, again, isn't the greatest, but they've got a good defensive team. Keylor Navas at the back. They've got players that have been at World Cups previously. Their form going into the tournament isn't exactly bad. They are beating the teams they're playing other than Panama, but they're beating USA's, and they're beating the likes of Canada's and through to Mexico. They're a good nation. They know what to do. They've got experience. And with their group, it's quite tough, again, with Spain and Germany. Japan, I can see that as a game that they could get a result. So I would say Costa Rica, they're in the C's. They could get 3 points, but I do expect them to get knocked out nonetheless. And I think that's mainly because of their group is really tough. In number 26 spot, and I do feel quite harsh because I feel like, again, I really want to back them. I don't know why. I just want to back them. But I'm going to put Tunisia, okay? Their team, on paper, they've got some players that plays at a good level in Europe. They also have consistent experience of playing well and playing in these type of tournaments, playing in World Cups. I just think, again, their group is really tough on them. However, I do think that there is a surprise. They can have a surprise. And I think that they've got this weird togetherness that I kind of just really want to support. After Tunisia, I'm going to put, and this may annoy some people, especially from America, I'm putting USA in C. I don't have much faith in America, personally, for this World Cup. Their form has been poor. They have an awful away record. And I think that their group is favourable. They can definitely, I feel like they can get a result against an Iran or Wales or even in England. I don't know, there's something about America and the team that they have that I feel like when I look at them, I sense a team of individuals and not a collective. Like Wales, I feel like Wales, they've got, they may not have the names, other than Gareth Bale, of course, but they've got this fake togetherness, okay? They've got that team spirit that they've got, and it feels contagious. With America, I don't have that. I don't, and their form hasn't been great either. They recently drew to Saudi Arabia, lost 2-0 to Japan, drew to El Salvador. The last time America won a game away from their own soil was, I gotta double check here. I'm still scrolling. Against Honduras back in September 2021. I believe they only won once, I think, in the entirety of their qualification away from home. They get some draws, but they are really poor away from their home soil. And this is a tournament which their entire tournament is away from home. So I just think that it plays a factor. Let's go with the South Korea. I go South Korea to be in the C tier. I think with their team, who, you may not know many names in there other than likes of Heung-min Son, of course, but they do get the job done, and I feel like I am underestimating them here. I just have this feeling in their group when I look at the teams that's in there, and I look, they've got Ghana in there, and I've got this weird feeling about Ghana. I don't know why. Korea, they do have this real togetherness in the same way that Wales does, but I don't know. I just have this feeling that Korea may be bottom of their group. And the last team to put in the C category is going to be Ecuador. And I want to back Ecuador. Like, for example, if this was Colombia in this group, then I feel like a lot of people will be backing them. Or at Chile, Ecuador is here ahead of those teams. If their form was better, I would put them in B. However, their recent form is really, you know, it's not the greatest. They've drawn to Iraq, drawn to Saudi Arabia. They only beat Cape Verde 1-0, drawn to Mexico, which is decent. They've won 2 games in the last 11. And with their team, they've got some decent players that I kind of want to put them in the B. And I think that they can maybe get in ahead of Senegal. But I've got to put one team in C. And I think that Ecuador, yeah, I'm going to put them in C. Okay, so in B category here, and these are teams that I feel like they've got a good chance to get out of the group stage. These are the teams that I feel like you could have a bit of a dark horse to them, and I think that they can do quite well. I kind of rate their team. If it's because of collectiveness, if it's because of some hidden gems there. So I'm going to go for Ghana first. I think that Ghana in their group, they can do something. When I look at their team, I think they've got some great players there. They just beat Switzerland the other day, which is a very good team, and their squad, it goes as follows. They've got the likes of, they've got Inaki Williams up top with the Ayew brothers. They've got Terry Calamity and Amorti and Salisu, players that plays in the Premier League as well, and a good level of football. Partey as well, how can I forget about that? So, and I think as well, because of their group, they got Uruguay and they've also got South Korea. I think they could get a result against South Korea, and I think they can maybe try and get something out of Uruguay. Of course, that's the famous, Ghana v Uruguay, rivalry now, and I think that would mean a lot for them, and I can see Ghana getting out of the group. I can see there being an upset, because I think that could be a big upset. I think technically Ghana is the lowest ranked nation in this entire tournament. I believe they're 61st in the world. Qatar's higher than them. Qatar's 55th, so this is actually a really big shout for me. Maybe my faith in them is ill-just here, but I just have this feeling that Ghana can get something from this tournament. So I put Ghana in B. In 21st in my rankings, and a team which I feel like can cause a bit of a surprise, I'm going to go and put Iran. I famously have said that I think Iran could indeed top the group. My reasoning is the fact that I don't really have that much of a reason. I can try to explain it. I can try to say that Iran in other tournaments have done quite well. Iran in the last World Cup, they beat Morocco in their group. They only lost 1-0 to Spain quite narrowly, and they drew to Portugal. So in the last World Cup, they did quite well. But they got some good players there, Asman and Taremi. Both players have played Champions League football, and I just think that because of the group that they're in with Wales and USA and of course England, I think that they've got a chance to get an upset. With that same reason, I also will put Wales alongside Iran. That I think both Wales and Iran, they can do something. If I pick one, I would pick personally Iran, but I don't think there's a real right answer or wrong answer here. Wales, they've not got that many big names, but they got one of the biggest in the entire tournament, and that's Gareth Bale. No matter what age he is, he's going to perform, he's going to show up for his country. This is Wales that back in the last Euro, they made it to the round of 16, and the last year before that, they made it to the quarterfinals, knocking out Belgium. So even though on paper they've not exactly got the names, you would say, but they've got this togetherness to get results. I put Wales in B. I think they can go out the group, and I put them as a 20th best team in the tournament. Next up, I will go for Mexico. Mexico, I feel like in most of my predictions, I put Mexico to be third place in the group and Poland second. My reasons behind this is that I think with most Mexicans, they all kind of agree that this isn't the strongest teams that they've ever had. Their attack is decent. They got Raul Jimenez, they got Lozano, Alexis Vega, and midfield they've got some underrated players in the likes of Herrera, who's been there for how many years now. However, maybe it's just my own personal biases, as I do live in Poland, so maybe that's just me. But I've seen with a lot of people, they also are back in Poland, and I think that is mainly just the Lewandowski factor. They've, Lewandowski in Poland, they've got the star, they've got the one player that you can hang your hat on. And because Lewandowski has not really performed in really any World Cups, I don't think he's got a single goal yet. That element is playing in my mind that I feel like this is the moment. This is the moment that he will finally drag his team at least out of the groups. Yeah, I will put Mexico in B in 19th, and I will also put in 18th. I'm going to go and put Japan. Japan for me is my 18th best team in the World Cup, and the reason why is that I think that they've got something in them to cause an upset, to get a draw or something, maybe even two, in their games against Spain and Germany. Japan in the World Cup, they've got something about them that they always cause something. They are dominant in their region, just swiping teams aside. However, they have recently lost to the likes of Canada. But when Japan played Brazil earlier this year, only in the summer, in June, they only lost 1-0, and that gives me some mad hope that if you can only lose to Brazil 1-0, and they played their full strength pretty much, and it was only a Neymar penalty that was a difference. I'm going to back Japan that they can get something in these games against Spain and Germany. I think they can get maybe one real big shock win. I think World Cups, they're all about this. They're all about this mad surprise. And I think in this group, I think that there's potential. I think it's also fair to put Poland in this Group B as well. Now, Group B is in terms of I think that they can definitely get out of their group. However, these are the teams that I don't think can make it past the round of 16 potentially. Poland, as I said, for Mexico, you've already heard it, but I just feel like there's that story with Lewandowski's last potential World Cup for Poland, and there's just that feeling that I just have for them. They're in decent form, and I just think that they can get out of their group. And I think ending of Group B, I would go and put Morocco, and you may be quite surprised by how high they are in here, but I think Morocco is a very good team, some great star players in there, and they're in good form. And with their group with Croatia and Belgium, I think there's some chance of a bit of a shock here. Hakim Ziyech, Hakimi, and Nasiri as well. I just think that their team has got something about them, some sort of hidden surprise element. Their group, I think, gives them a chance to cause an upset as well. But I don't think if they make it out of the groups, which I think would be a big surprise and a big success for them, I don't think they'll make it out of the round of 16. Okay then, so into Group A, and these are the teams that I feel like can make it out of their group 8-9 times out of 10, and can potentially go to the quarters, semis, but I don't think can really go on to win the entire thing. So in Group A, the first team I'll put in there is Serbia. I'll put Serbia in that group, and I think Serbia, their form has been great, their team is great on paper, and they are in quite a favourable group. On paper, their team is a star team. You know, for strikers, they've got Jovic, and they've also got Vlahovic, and they've also got Mitrovic. They've got three top players in top European football. Defensively is potentially their only weakness, because in midfield it's great as well. They've got Kostic and also Milinkovic-Savic, and also, just all the itches here. Dusan Tadic, I can name them all, right? On paper, they've got a very good team that they should go on and do great things. They really should. And if it clicks, then it will click. And that is the only question mark here, is that Serbia, I think they could go out of the group, and I think they can go to the quarterfinals. I think they can do that if the draw is quite favourable, of course. But they can have an upset. You know, they went ahead of Portugal in their group. Portugal had to go through the qualifiers because of them. So Serbia, I would put them in A, and therefore I will also put Switzerland to be ahead of them because they're in the same group. So only one of these two teams can make it through, but whoever of these two teams can make it through of their groups, I think can go to the quarters. Remember, Switzerland in the Nations League last few games, they beat Spain, they also beat Portugal, so they can beat big teams, and we saw that in the last year. They knocked out France, so yeah, they can definitely be in the A tier. So that's Switzerland, 14th best team in the World Cup. Next up would be my 13th best team in the World Cup, and I would go and put Senegal. And Senegal I would have put higher if they didn't have the injury with Sadio Mane. My main thing with Senegal is the fact that they've got a very good looking route to the quarterfinals. In their group, Ecuador, I think they've got much more. Even without Sadio Mane, they've got more than enough to go through with Ecuador and to go through with Qatar. I don't think that's an issue there. And in Group B, they can face either England or they can face the likes of Wales or Iran or USA. So hopefully for me, as an England fan, that hopefully if they don't face England, that they can realistically be in a quarterfinal. You know, they've got a great team, a great goalkeeper, Edouard Mendy, good defense with Koulibaly as well. This is a team with some great cohesiveness who won the African Cup of Nations, of course. If their route wasn't as favourable, I would have put them maybe below, but I think Senegal, they can do quite well in this World Cup, and I'll put them in 13th place. Now we've got the big boys left. We've got Uruguay still, and Croatia and Denmark, who's kind of the underdogs. I'm going to do quite a big surprise one here. I'll put Spain in A. My issue with Spain is that when it comes to Spain, I don't see a real clinical edge to them. I don't think they got really the finishers, the the real killers in their team. They got a lot of technical, great players, still some young players, but some old experience as well. Their attackers like Ansu Fati and Ferran Torres and Alvaro Morata. I see some great technical players there. I don't see killers. I don't see finishers. And I think that scoring goals, when you're playing a team who's going to be defending deep potentially, I think they can play. I think that could be a problem for them personally. So for Spain, I think that they will be, I want to say, underwhelming. After that, I'm going for Uruguay. Uruguay after Spain. If Uruguay, they have the killers in their attack that Spain don't. They got Suarez. They've got Nunez, I guess, who's still quite young and raw, but they've also got the likes of Cavani as well about. Midfield, Valverde and Bentancur. Defensively, the Caceres brothers, they have got tons of experience in World Cups and they've gone quite far as well. So I just feel like they can, I believe it's likely that they can probably go in and face a Brazil quite early on, which I feel like could be quite unfortunate for them. But I put them in A. So we're now down to top 10. So Group A are still teams that I think they can make it to the quarterfinals, maybe even semis. But I say quarters is kind of this kind of A tier. Teams that I don't think can really go on to win the entire thing, but do quite well. I would put England in A, and they'll be 10th place. Reason is that we've not won in the last 6 games. The morale on the team is really strange right now. I guess it's more for the nation than the actual team itself, really. But the group is favourable, and the running is technically also quite favourable as well. That we could face like Senegal, likes of Netherlands, and that means that we can maybe, I think on paper we should really be facing France, but it could be maybe a Denmark if we were to go far. And it just kind of depends on you in terms of how well you think we can go in the tournament. But for England, I think quarters is my own personal expectation. On paper, it is a team which defensively I don't think is the greatest, and we aren't playing great football. So yeah, I just think that if I wasn't English, if I was, I don't know, like American or something, I would probably put England in like 10th place. I still think we go to quarters, and you never know, we can make the semis. I would just be stunned if we can make it. I'll just be stunned if we can make it to a final. So that means in 9th place, I'm going to go and put Belgium. Belgium in recent form has not been good, and really the main issue with them is the fact that their golden generation, I feel like are fading. Lukaku, I don't think he's really going to be fit for the first game or so. Eden Hazard, not in great form. Their only real main hope here is Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne, the entire country are going to be hoping that you can drag them along. Their defense is really poor, very poor defensively. Belgium played 2 days ago and they lost to Egypt in Nations League. They've lost both times in Netherlands, and they beat Wales and they beat Poland, but I just think with Belgium, their defense really is poor. Really poor for me. I'm going to go and put the Danes in 8th place. A lot of people are backing them to go all the way, at least the semis, because their route to the semi-finals actually does look quite good on paper. Denmark in fantastic form. Of course, beating France twice is incredible, and they've got quite a good route to the final. That cohesiveness from their last tournament will be coming along with them, and I feel like they are very together as a nation, and that's why I put them in 8th place, and that's why I put France. I'm going to put France in 7th, and really I should put them in a team that I think can potentially go on to win the entire thing. I really should put them in S. I really should. They've just lost Karim Benzema, but France, the thing is with France is that they are always they're never far away from a complete disaster, are they? There's always a disaster on the way when it comes to France. Losing Benzema is really going to be big for them, but they've still got Giroud, they've still got Kylian Mbappe, of course. But their midfield is a bit inexperienced. No Kante, no Pogba. It's now Camavinga and Tchouaméni. So I just think that they could potentially go to semis, quarters. But I just got this weird feeling I don't think they'll make it to the final and win it. So that's why I put them in A. Into the S's first team, I will go and put Germany. I'll put Germany in there. Germany are a team which have got some great talent, but I still feel like they're quite raw. But the one thing that I've learned is that never bet against the Germans. The Germans are the Germans, right? And I just feel like Germany will do German things. Their form is weird right now. The defense is a bit odd at times, I feel like. But I'm going to put them in S tier. I feel like they can go to the final, and I think there's a chance that they can win it. There's a chance. If you're in S tier, that's why I think that you can actually go on to win the entire thing. That's just my kind of where I put teams. So S tier, Germany. Next up, I'm going to go and put Netherlands. Netherlands as my 5th best team in the tournament. Their form has been exceptional. You know, winning Belgium both times in their groups. And when I look at their team on paper, it's very, very balanced. The only, I guess, issue is the fact they've not got a real goal scorer. Like, they've got Depay, they've got Bergwijn, but they're not exactly like, you know, clinical strikers, so to say. But a very good defence, fantastic defence, and also a very good midfield. And I think that they can have enough to go quite far in the tournament. Their route to the final in their bracket is also quite favourable as well, on the same bracket as the likes of Denmark and also England, and I guess also potentially France. And you may be surprised, but Croatia, they're still there. Croatia is my 4th best team in the entire tournament. Great form, beating Denmark and France in their group, and I feel like this Croatian team is potentially stronger than their last team in the World Cup. Honestly, I like their route to the final. I like their underdog sort of status, and I put them as my 4th best team. And then 3rd place is going to be Portugal. On paper, their team is fantastic, all around the park, some fantastic players. Their only, I guess, doubt is the fact that they had to qualify through the qualifiers to get here in the first place, which could be a big red flag, and it really should be. However, I want to kind of hope that their quality all around their entire team, midfield, defense, attack, it can kind of outweigh that. Only time can tell. Their star power is immense. And then it's Brazil or Argentina. Everyone's favourite to win the entire thing, and they should be. Argentina have not lost a game since mid-2019. Brazil have not lost a game since the last time they played Argentina, and Argentina has got the advantage ahead of Brazil, and they seem to have their number. And if everything goes together, it should be Brazil and Argentina in a World Cup semi-final, and for then it is kind of your own personal choice on which nation you back. And if I gotta pick one team who's the best prepared, the best team, the best run, the best everything to make it to the final, and who I think has the best everything, I would say is Argentina 2nd and Brazil 1st. The goals I'm seeing in every game for Brazil, you know, it's going 4 goals here, 4 goals there, 4 goals here, 5 goals here, 3 goals here, 5 goals here. It is incredible. They're barely even conceding goals. The last time that they conceded a more than 1 goal in a game was, I've got to double check here, the last time they conceded more than 1 goal in a game, Christ, October 2020. You know, it's been 2 years since the last time Brazil conceded 2 goals or more. You know, and then even before then, it was Colombia back in 2019. Their defense is immense. Their attack is immense. Everything's immense. Yeah, if I got to pick between Brazil and Argentina, it's Brazil. And Argentina, again, they have not lost in how many years. And, of course, Argentina, they, of course, have beaten Brazil, I believe, the last 2 times they played against each other here. And that means that technically they should be a better team. But I'm going by my own thoughts and my own gut feeling here, and I'm backing Brazil to win the entire thing. That is my ranking from Team 32 to number 1 of the best teams and how I think they're going to do in this tournament here. I'm sure I'm wrong, and I do apologise if I do think that your home nation may not do that well, especially if you're Canadian. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time for another video, and peace out.